비싸.
Yeah, okay. Close the door, babe.
다 비싸.
Hi everyone, this is Ro, and today I'm going to be talking about how expensive is Korea. I am from Scotland in the UK, and a lot of my British friends, they always say to me,
oh, like you must be so lucky living in Korea because Korea is so cheap.
and I'm like,
Nope.
personally, in my personal opinion, Korea is actually really expensive. Usually when I say that, people are like, what? So for someone who's lived here for a while now, I'm going to tell you why I think Korea is expensive, and I'm gonna give you an idea of how much living costs are in Korea. Okay, so before we get started, I think people need to understand the history of Korea. Korea's history is very, very unique. A whole bunch of stuff happened in Korea's history. Korea developed really, really quickly after the World War I, World War II. Korea is the fastest country to have gone from developing to developed in like, I think it was 50 years, 60, 70. Because Korea developed so quickly, of course, inflation, everything rose as well. Things like minimum wage and pension are still kind of pretty low. And so that's why there's so much elderly poverty in Korea, or so much like struggles to survive here. But Korea and Japan are definitely the two most expensive countries in Far East Asia. In terms of eating out, if me and my friends are gonna go to like a small local place by the road, I think a meal would be anything from like 3,000 to 8,000 won. And that I'm talking about dishes like tteokbokki or like gimbap or ramyuns or whatever. If I'm gonna go have like Korean barbecue or like gopchangs or like massive like jigaes, which is Korean soups, one person can pay, I think, maybe like 10 to 15,000 won. If I go to eat international food, so like pizza or like nice pastas or like Spanish tapas or whatever, of course those are much more expensive, and I would pay maybe like anything from 20 to 30,000 won. Eating out can be cheaper, but it also can be really expensive depending on where I go and what we eat. Grocery shopping in Korea is like really expensive, and I say it's really expensive in terms of fruit and vegetables. The fruit and vegetables in Korea, it's really pricey. Like everything in Korea is like very monopolized and privatized. But if I go to traditional fruit and vegetable markets, they're actually really cheap, especially if I buy anything that's in season. So right now, strawberries are in season. Why strawberries are in season in winter, I don't know. Right now, strawberries are really, really cheap, and I think you can get almost like three boxes of strawberries for like 10,000 won, which is actually really, really good. Traditional fruit and vegetable markets are way cheaper than a supermarket. Things like sightseeing, I think if you're gonna pay entry fee for a museum or like Lotte Tower or Namsan Tower, you can expect to pay anything from like 10 to 30,000 won. I live near Lotte Tower, and the entry fee to Lotte Tower is 27,000 won, which is, you know, quite hefty. It's not something that I could do every single day. But you know, I think if you're a tourist, it's once in a lifetime thing. Like, just pay it and go up and have fun. So I always say to my friends, if you are like a tourist, Korea is great. You have so much to do. There is so much to see, traditional stuff to do, modern stuff to do, festivals, just loads to eat. If you're living in Korea, you really do have to be careful with your spending. Housing in Korea is like crazy. Housing deposit in Korea are very special. There are two deposit systems in Korea. One is called jeonse. Jeonse is kind of like, in English, I guess you'd say yearly rent, when you put down a lot of money and you don't pay rent at all. And the second system is called wolse, and wolse is just the typical where you pay monthly rent. Seoul is very big, and there's lots of districts in Seoul, and some districts are more expensive than other districts. Before we moved into this place, we did a lot of research and we viewed a lot of places. I can tell you from first-hand experience that Songpagu is a really, really nice district. It's really safe, it's really family friendly. You have Lotte Tower, Seoul Lake, and Han River, and there's the Olympic Park. Like, everything is just really, really convenient, and it's great for shopping and everything. But it is really, really expensive. If I was to do 월세, which is monthly rent in Songpa district, you can expect a housing deposit of anything around 100 to 200 million won, which is like insane. If I had $100 to $200,000, I would probably just buy a house in Scotland. Isn't that crazy? Like, it doesn't make sense. And you can expect a monthly rent of anything from 400 to 700,000 won. If you want to do chanse, which is yearly rent, where you put down like a massive deposit and you live rent free, you have to put down anything from 300 to 500 million won, just 300 to 500,000 US dollars. A lot of people do chanse because, of course, I mean, come on, you don't pay any rent. You put down this massive deposit and then you get it back at the end of the contract. You're basically living for free. But the problem is you need to have that money in the first place. So usually people like borrow from their parents if their parents are like rich, or they just borrow from the bank, or they borrow from their friends, or for some reason they're like millionaires and they have the money saved up already, then they can just do chanse. But you know, not many people in Korea are rich. We're definitely not rich. If you're gonna go to a cheaper district and do monthly rent, then your housing deposit maybe it can only be 50,000 US dollars or even less. And your rent will be anything from $300 to $500, which is great, you know, that's a lot more affordable. But it just means that maybe you'll be like a rougher area, or maybe you'll be really far out on the outskirts of Seoul and you just have to commute every day for work. But in terms of money, it is more affordable. If you're gonna do yearly rent or chanse, your housing deposit can be anything, let's say 100 to 200 million won. And of course you live rent free, so at the end of that you get your deposit back. No country in this world is perfect. Every country has its pros and cons. And for me, one of the cons of living in Korea is the living cost is more than I expected. And because Korea is developing so quickly, like, come on guys, like BTS, K-pop, Korean movies, that latest one, what was it, Parasite? Korea is getting more and more famous. More people are coming to Korea to sightsee. Like, Korea is developing really, really. Hi.
안 갔어?
I'm talking about how expensive Korea is.
비싸!
Yeah, okay. Close the door, babe.
다 비싸!
Korea is developing really, really, really quickly, and because of that, inflation and living costs in Korea are also rising really quickly. And so it is a struggle to keep up, because things like salaries and pensions are actually the same as it was 50 years ago. And that's the problem, and that's why Korea has a really big poverty gap. This housing deposit was 100 million won, and it's not even a big house. And for 100 million won, I could probably buy a house in another country. We don't have rich parents. The housing deposit purely came from our own savings and bank loans. But I mean, like, it's not easy, you know? We have to be really frugal, you know, and be able to save. This is not a sob story to talk about how sad my life is. My life is not sad. I'm very, very happy. I'm very, very satisfied, and I'm working really hard every day to make a living for myself. But my point is that Korea is not cheap, and I think if you were to live here, you need to save up more and definitely be more careful with your spendings. That is my video on whether Korea is cheap or not. Keep in mind that everything I talked about today in this video was about Seoul. Aside from housing, everything else is kind of just average, not expensive, not cheap, just kind of what you would expect, I guess, in a developed country. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna make more videos about life in Korea. If there's anything you guys want to know, comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!